Hi friends, I'm excited to share this art lesson with you today. Today we're going to do something kind of fun and different. We're going to learn about ancient Greece and some of their art. So one of the things that ancient Greek society did and used a lot was pottery. That means they made like these kind of pots out of clay, and then they would decorate them, and they would decorate them with all kinds of cool designs and things that represented them. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about ancient Greek pottery. Greek potters were constantly changing the shape of their famous vases and pots. In ancient Greece, it was not enough to create something that was beautiful, it also had to be comfortable. If the vase, pot, or picture had a handle, that handle had to be easy to hold and fit comfortably into the grip of your hand. The Greeks considered themselves scientists as well as artists. Everything had to be perfectly proportioned, so they were really specific about how they made them. The designs on their pottery told a story. Some told stories of daily life, others told stories of wars and heroes. All designs, whatever they were, had to represent something that people could find pleasing. Geometric designs had to be familiar, a design perhaps that could be found in a temple or on a fabric. The colors were smooth, soothing, and comfortable. Most Greeks were cremated and buried in pots. Even though the pots were to be buried, they still had to be perfect. The ancient Greeks were perfectionists, so they wanted them to just be so perfect. So when it said most Greeks were cremated, that means after they died, instead of burying them, they would burn their body so it was just ashes that were left. Then they put their ashes in the pot and buried the pot. And even though that pot was going to be buried with someone's ashes in it, they still wanted it to be perfect because they probably wanted to represent that person, and they wanted it to be a memory of the person that had died. Archaeologists have discovered a great many ancient Greek pieces of pottery. Between household vases and funeral pots, archaeologists have been able to piece together a great deal of knowledge about daily life in ancient Greece. So just from looking at their pottery, they can estimate what kind of lives they lived. So it's pretty interesting that just looking at works of art can tell us a lot about a civilization. So there's several different kinds of pots that the Greeks will make, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about those. This one called the amphora, the shape of this pot right there, this top one, is a jug with a handle on both sides so it could be easily lifted. Amphoras were used to store liquids and solids. Then this tall and skinny one, not tall, but short and fat one, wide, that one. The crater, it's called the crater. It was a mixing vessel for wine and water. The Greeks always mixed their wine with water, and sometimes they added spices to change the flavor. So I thought that was interesting. Then this one called the kylix. That one is a bowl, flat or on an ornate base with two horizontal handles to pass the scale easily. So they really thought about their pottery when they made it, that it was easy to pass around, easy to handle, and very convenient for them to use. It also had beautiful art on it. So I think it's really fun to learn about. Here's some samples of all the different kinds of Greek pottery. You notice all the great designs and patterns they made on there. But it's fun to learn about ancient civilizations and their art. I was so lucky. I got to take an art history course a couple of years ago, and I learned all about the ancient Greece and all different countries like Rome and all their art, and it was really fascinating to me. So for this project today, I'm going to tell you one more thing about we're also implementing some of the elements of art. One of them is shape. I'm going to say there's a lot to learn about shape from these Greek vases. So anytime they use patterns that are geometric shapes, so I'm going to show you, these are some of the patterns that you might find on their vases. So there can be geometric shapes like triangles, squares, rectangles, circles, and then they also used organic shapes. And organic shapes are shapes that are found in nature, like the shape of the human body, the shape of leaves, flowers, plants, animals. Those are all considered organic shapes. So they use both on their pottery, both geometric and organic, so those two kinds of shapes. And the other thing I noticed about their pottery, this is a math concept, is a lot of their pottery is symmetrical. Like all these pots that are exactly, if you cut that pot in half right down the middle, it would be exactly the same on both sides. So that means it has symmetry. And if it's not exactly the same on both sides, like some of the ones down here that maybe have a handle on one side but don't have it on the other, that's called asymmetrical. So they had some asymmetrical things and some symmetrical. So there's some math terms you can learn from Greece. So today for this project, this is what you're going to need. You're gonna need a glue stick or some glue of some kind. And you're gonna need a black writing instrument. So it could be a regular black marker, black crayon, black pencil, but my preference is the black Sharpie. If you have black Sharpies, that's what I prefer to use, but it could be anything, any black writing instrument. You're also gonna need a pencil, just a piece of white scrap paper, piece of black paper if you have it. If you don't, just any color paper you have would work. And then if you have a lunch sack like this or a grocery sack, either one of these that's brown paper sack, we're gonna use that for our project. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this lunch sack, and I'm gonna cut this so it's just a flat piece of paper. We'll do that first. Because I just need a flat piece of this brown lunch bag paper. I'm just cutting the bottom of this off, and it doesn't matter if it's perfect. Really, you can just rip some of it if you need to. Then I'm gonna unfold this so I kind of can flatten it out. And then this is gonna be my background. So I'm gonna just make this brown paper the same size as this black paper. So just lay it on here and just trim off the extra that I don't need. So it's about the same size as the black paper. All right, I don't need that. That's just trash. Then the next thing I'm gonna do, remember we're gonna make a symmetrical vase. So I'm gonna fold this brown paper in half. I'm gonna fold it in half the tall way, or the portrait. This is called portrait, the way you hold your paper. Fold it in half. And then what I'm gonna do is I have some vase patterns and things that I got off the internet, so you can look it up on the internet, or maybe you can print some of these off for yourself, so you decide which shape of vase you want to make. So I'm gonna make just a tall one with handles on both sides. Maybe kind of like this one right here. I know it's tiny. Something kind of like that. So what I'm gonna do is draw half of that vase on the fold, because that way we can make it totally symmetrical. If we only draw half of it, then cut it out. So that's gonna be like the top. Then I'm gonna draw like the handle. And then I'm gonna draw the bottom. Maybe the base of the vase. And then this is the handle, so I'm gonna have to come in here and make this hollow negative space right here. So you can see how that's kind of like the shape of half of a vase. So basically just draw something like that and you cut it out. When you cut it out, it's gonna be perfectly the same on both sides, because then it'll be symmetrical. That's why I like to fold things and cut them. We need to cut this little space out. So I'm gonna show you a trick to do this. If you just fold this and then you cut a little slit in it, then when you open it again, that's that little hole that you can stick your scissors through. And you can cut out the inside. Whenever you have to cut out the inside of something, you can always use that trick. Like fold it, make a little slit in it first. So then when you unfold this, you should have a pretty good vase shape you can use for your Greek vase. So I'm gonna put this on black paper, but first, this is another trick that I have. If you wanna do this, you can, or you don't have to. If you want your vase to look kind of antique and old and ancient, when you have brown paper like this, I'm just gonna wrinkle this up like a piece of garbage. Totally just wrinkle this with your hand, and you're thinking, oh no, it's ruined, but then unfold it carefully so you don't rip it. And flatten it back out. And you don't have to do this. If you don't like this look, you can just leave it the way it was. But if you want it to look kind of cracked and old and ancient, this will give you that look. See how it looks kind of old now? So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this scrap paper and put my base on here to put the glue on, because I don't want to get glue all over my table and stuff. So I'm gonna get my glue stick. Make sure you get the edges really good. Like I always like to make sure all these small edges, like these handles, you gotta make sure you get glue around those. You want them to be glued down really good. I know that you're 6th graders or older students, so you know how to use a glue stick without breaking the end off. Like the kindergartners do. Okay, so got my glue on there. Just put that back over there. I'm gonna find where I think about the center of the pages. Start in the middle when you push it down. And you'll get it probably smoother. Glue it on. Okay, so now I have my vase. I get to start decorating it. So I would suggest that you start with pencil. I always do your designs first with pencil. You can print off some designs off the internet or just look at the internet on your phone. Maybe you can look up some Greek vase designs. So I'm gonna get some of those. Here's one that I started a little while ago. So I'm doing it in pencil first. Then I'm gonna keep working on this. Okay friends, so that's my Greek vase, but before I think it's all the way finished, I have to do one more thing, and that's, I'm gonna go back and erase any pencil lines that are showing on here. So I just get a pencil with a nice eraser on it, and any like pencil lines that might be showing, you can erase those. So you get a nice, clean, crisp look to your art. Get it all cleaned up and look sharp and crisp and beautiful. There's your base. I want to show you another one that I made. I made this one a few years ago, and this one was a lot of fun because I actually used, you'll recognize that flying horse in the middle as Pegasus. So if you want to use some of the Greek mythical gods and stuff on it, it would be awesome. So anyway, have a lot of fun making your Greek vases, and I'll see you next time. Bye!